You know, you know what kids never ask for? A PowerPoint. They want stories. Bedtime stories, silly stories, scary stories. Because stories stick. The same thing goes for grown-ups. We might wear suits instead of pajamas, but we're still wired for stories. I mean, think about it. When was the last time someone gave you a list of facts and you remembered it a week later? But a good story, well, you might remember that forever. And that's the secret. When you want people to listen, remember, and care about what you're saying in English, you tell a story. And that's what we're breaking down today. The art of storytelling in English. Simple, powerful, and memorable. And don't worry, no dragons or magic wands required. Be sure to stick around because I will show you how to tell a story that turns your next presentation or interview or email into something that people actually remember. And if you've got a question, as always, drop that question in the chat and I'll answer a few at the end of the show. And don't miss the Mastery Minute at the end because I've got a powerful idiom that'll help you tell stories with confidence. So, let's dive right into it. Let me tell you about Ji Yoon. She was preparing for a job interview with a global company, and her resume was impressive. But her answers, polite, but there was something missing. Her words weren't really sticking. So we worked on one thing, storytelling. And at her interview, they asked us, tell us about a challenge you overcame. Instead of listing steps, she told a story about managing a frustrated client, rebuilding trust, and ending with a big sale. They nodded, and they really started to lean into the conversation. 2 days later, she got the job. So, what makes a good story in English? Let's break it down. The best communicators don't just speak clearly, they tell stories. And for busy professionals like you, learning English, storytelling is a game changer. Whether it's in meetings or interviews, even in casual conversations, using stories makes your English sound more fluent, more natural, and more powerful. So let's talk about why storytelling works. And then I'll show you how to do it. Why does storytelling work so well? Well, number one, it helps people remember what you say. Stories create emotional connection. So you're not just hearing the intellectual stuff, it's touching something human in your heart. They create emotional connection, and in business, they actually can build trust and influence. Instead of saying something like, I worked on a big project, you might say, last year, I led a team through a tricky project launch. And here's what happened. And then keep on telling the story. Even simple stories can highlight your skills and keep your listener interested. Not to mention making you great at everything from selling to to just making small talk at work. So let's break it down. What makes a good story work? A good story doesn't just ramble. It has structure. So you can try this. We're going to call it the 3-part framework. Okay? Start with the situation. The situation. That is where and when. Where and when. Then move on to the problem. Every story has a problem. Whether you're watching Disney movies or adventure novels, reading an adventure novel or an adventure movie, even a romance story has a problem. And then get on to the action and the result of the action. What did you do? How did it end? So here's a quick before and after example. Okay? Somebody says, "Did you finish the report?" And before you might have said, "Yes, I finished the report." Let's make it into the story. "We were behind schedule on Friday, so I worked a little late to get it done. So now it's ready. And I added a few visuals to make it easier to read." So that's a story. That version adds context. It shows effort, and it feels more natural. It's a tiny story, but it makes a big difference. And here's the thing. Stories don't just work in meetings or interviews. They're also incredibly useful in sales, presentations, networking, even emails. I like to say, facts tell, but stories sell. Imagine you're pitching a product. Instead of saying, "Our app increases productivity by 18%. Try, "One of our clients was struggling with task management. There's a problem. After switching to our app, their team finished projects a week ahead of schedule for the first time ever. And the manager told us it felt like they added an extra employee without the cost." See there? That's the power of a story. It turns numbers into meaning and helps people picture real results. It paints a picture in the mind. So, whether you're convincing a client, motivating a team, or sharing your success, remember that stories sell the experience. The next thing I've got is the STAR method. Hold on a second. Excuse me. The STAR method is another great structure for organizing. Oh, okay, what do we got here? Got a little computer glitch. Hold on. So this is a great structure for organizing your ideas. I was just talking with somebody about the STAR method in a one-on-one session. We were preparing for an interview. So this is one method that works really well in an interview. So here's how it works. STAR, situation, that's where and when did it happen. Task, what was your responsibility or goal. Action, what steps did you take? And R, result, what was the outcome? So this method is really useful for job interviews, like I said. It's great for project reviews, team meetings, when you're asked about your experience or to show your impact. So here's a few examples that I've come up with. And these are really short, so you don't have to make it complicated. Example number 1, interview. Last month, there's your situation. I was responsible for onboarding a new client. That's your task. I created a 3-step training video and held a live Q&A. That's the action. The client said it was the easiest onboarding they'd ever had. There's your result. Okay, let's check out a performance review. During the last quarter, I was asked to reduce our support ticket backlog. So I introduced a tagging system and a daily stand-up to prioritize requests. By the end of the quarter, we reduced unsolved tickets by 60%. Not a bad result. All right, example number 3, daily conversations. Last week, there we go. There's the situation. I had to prepare a budget update on short notice. That's a task. I gathered data from the finance team, created a one-page summary, and presented it during our Monday meeting. Action. The manager said it helped them make a decision faster. Result. So each star story is like a little mini case study about your skills or your activities. You keep it short, but be specific. It seems a little weird right now, but trust me, the more you practice, the more natural it feels. And then the more impressive you will begin to sound. All right, how do we practice this? Okay, you don't need drama. I mean, it can sell sometimes, but you really don't need drama. Just small moments from your everyday life or work. And these simple stories can still be powerful if you use structure and detail. So how prepared, you could tell stories, how you prepared for a meeting, a challenge you had with a client, what you learned from a task, or better yet, a mistake. Hopefully you learned something. So think about it. Put it together this way. Situation, problem, result. Situation, problem, result. Speak it out loud. Keep it short and clear. Get comfortable telling small stories with a clear point. For example, last week I had to prepare slides for a team meeting. Situation. But halfway through, I realized some of my data was outdated. Uh-oh. Problem. So I quickly messaged a colleague, double-checked the numbers, and updated everything in time for the meeting. Whew! Action. And in the end, my manager complimented the presentation and asked to use one of my visuals in her report. Result. So, situation, problem, action, result. That's a 30-second story. Simple, it's real, and it shows responsibility, teamwork, and quick thinking. So, try practicing one like that today. Use it in your next meeting or English class if you've got one. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. All right, let's move it along. Let's look at some common phrases that will help you structure a story. All right, this is going to be like glue, so keep these phrases in mind, and they'll help to hold your story together. To start your story, you can say, let me tell you about a time when, or this happened a few months ago during something that happened, right? During the spring, or during the fall, or during the winter. You can show a challenge or a problem. The problem started when, or things got complicated because. Then, to explain your action, you can say something like, so I decided to. It's very decisive, right? I took the lead and did the action. To share the result of something. In the end, or as a result of that, something happened. Now you can also throw in some reflection or wrap-up with what I learned was, or that experience taught me. So use these like stepping stones. They help you stay organized and sound fluent. And here's the good news. Storytelling is a skill that you can actually build. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. So practice a short story today. Try it out in a safe place, maybe with a friend, a coworker, or even in the mirror. That's what my wife used to do. Every story you tell gives your English more color, more personality, and more power. So don't be afraid to share what you've been through and what you've learned. Your story matters, and the world needs to hear it. All right, here's your challenge today. Think of one short story from your own life. something at work or school or home. Then use the STAR method or one of the or the three-step structure. Say it out loud. And the next time someone asks, "Tell me about a time when," you'll be ready. All right, if you've got questions about storytelling or how to structure your own story, drop them in the comments below. I'll be answering a few right after the Mastery Minute. And if today's episode was helpful to you, hit the like button, subscribe, share this with a friend that is learning English or just trying to improve. And don't forget to check out the full article in the description. The link is in the description, or just go to allaboutenglishmastery.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more tips every week. All right, and now it's time for the Mastery Minute. Okay. Today's phrase is stick the landing. Whoa, oh no, I lost the... My slides are gone. Oh, hold on. Everything's messed up. Okay, where'd we go? Okay, stick the landing. Let's not do that again. I lost my place. All right, so now stick the landing. This comes from the world of gymnastics. Boom, you do some big move. You twirl around, fly through the air, and boom, you land perfectly. No wobbles, no steps. That is called sticking the landing. And in conversation, this means finishing strong. So whether you're giving a speech or a presentation or an interview, if you stick the landing, you end with confidence and clarity. Let's say you just finished telling a story in a job interview. Instead of trailing off, you say, "That experience taught me how to handle conflict without drama. And that skill has helped me on every project since." That's how you stick the landing. Okay, this Wednesday night, same time, 9:30 in Korea, 8:30 in Taiwan and Hong Kong, we're going to dive into the power of small talk at work. I know we've already done an episode about small talk, but it's such a big thing. Many people request information. So whether you're trying to break the ice with coworkers or build better connections in English, I'll show you how to use short and simple conversations to create lasting impressions. You don't want to miss it. And that's today's episode. We went a little over time. All right. If you found this helpful, again, hit the like button and subscribe. And remember, thanks again for joining me on 15-Minute Mastery. Remember that people forget facts, but they remember stories. So get out there and go tell yours. I'll see you next time.